Anybody having any idea about Xpath? Great, no issues. So, uh, no problem. Sarah has. Uh, uh, Sarah, you have some idea, or you said no, you don't have idea?
Nope, I don't have no idea.
Okay, great, no problem. So we'll start from the scratch. So what is this XPath? What is that we are trying to understand here? Now see, as we already discussed about the Firebug and the Firepath. Okay, so I hope all of you remember that once you need to install Firebug first, and then you have to add Firepath to it, right? So once you install the Firepath, this is what is basically used for identifying the XPath. So what is the use of this Firebug is, let me tell you, go to the Firepath, right? And then here you see say something called as XPath. Now what is this XPath? When I say XPath, what is it? Let me tell you what is that. So now see, use this icon over here in the Firebug, okay? And click on any of the HTML element that you want to locate, right? So basically, see, I'm using the term locate. Now, basically, when I say XPath, what is this XPath? So XPath can be defined as, it's an expression. XPath is basically an expression. If you want, you can make a note, or else I'll send you the notes. So XPath is an expression which is used to specify the path. XPath is an expression which is used to specify the path of an HTML element. Okay, so basically in the entire HTML page, what is the path, or where is the path, right? So basically, which is the path of a particular, let us say in this case, what is the path of the username field, right? So you're telling the location or the route, you can say the path of this particular element. So XPath is an expression which is used to specify the path of an HTML element present in the HTML page. Okay, so XPath is an expression which is used to specify the path of a HTML element present in the HTML page, right? So, so I'll give you the definitions anyway. I'll send it out today. So, but how do we identify this XPath is what is important, right? So, how do we identify this XPath? Let us try to understand that, which is very, very crucial for us. So, you need to really understand this, properly, right? So, let me just go from the scratch here. Now, let us see. So, when you clicked over here, your fire path has already given some XPath to you, right? So, whatever fire path gives, don't consider that. Just delete that. Delete that, right? Let me tell you how do we write the XPath for this username field now. Okay, so what you do is just spy on this like this. So this is your element. So how do you find identify the XPath is delete this. If I put, there are some syntax, there are some rules, there are some formulas basically you need to remember with respect to XPath, right? So I am putting 2 / here. So when I put 2 / that means anywhere in the entire document, anywhere in the entire HTML page, anywhere in the entire HTML page, I'm trying to locate this particular element. It was the meaning. So 2 / will tell you that anywhere in the entire HTML page, right? Now, what is the syntax for XPath? Very crucial. First of all, see here, try to see the tag name. Tag name here is input. Let me just increase the font here. Okay, so you go click on this Firebug icon and text size and then say increase size, right? So if you see here, it is size is increasing now. Yeah. So let me just delete this, right? And I clicked on here. So in case if your Firebug is not able to load sometimes, what is you just close it off and then once again open it. How do you open it? You can click on this icon or you can press F12. Okay. So once you press F12, see sometimes it gets hanged. You can just refresh it, right? I think maybe I've increased the size too much. Okay, this is fine. So see here, what is a tag? Tag is input, right? And then just see the attributes here. It has ID, it has a class, it has a type, it has a value. Value means what will be the default value for this, right? As of now, nothing. And then name is also there, and then say some other attributes, placeholder, right? So now how do you write an XPath for any element is just put two forward slash. That means anywhere in the document. You are trying to write the relative path here. You are trying to identify the element relatively, not with respect to the root of the page. If you try to come from the root of the page, if you see root is somewhere over here, you know, traverse the entire page, which we don't want, and which is not the ideal way. You should not be doing like that, right? Unless it is really required. So what you should be doing is anywhere in the document, find the HTML tag which is having the tag name as input, right? So what is the syntax? Tag name, then you have to open a square bracket here at the rate icon, and then you have to use the attributes, keep adding the attributes one by one till the time you are able to uniquely identify the element. Okay, so you need to write the tag name and then square bracket at the rate attribute name. For example, I'll write the attribute name as say ID, right? And then you have to use equals to, and you have to use a single quote. Inside the single quote, you have to write the attribute value. As you see here, attribute value is username, right? So the syntax for identifying and writing an XPath is this one: name of the tag, and then you have to use the attribute till the time you are able to uniquely identify an element. Now see, remember one thing, ID is an attribute, as we have already discussed. It uniquely identifies an element in the entire HTML page. It uniquely represents an element in the entire HTML page, right? So ID should be sufficient for now. Imagine, just imagine, ID is not there, you're using class, right? And class is not sufficient, right? Class is not sufficient. Then you may also want to add another attribute, say name. How do you add that? See here, I'll add another square bracket at the rate name is equal to whatever is the name here, like this. So if one attribute is not sufficient, you need to go for the other attribute. Now let me tell you the hierarchy. Ideally, you should use ID, which is sufficient to uniquely identify any element. If ID is not there, then you use name. Names also are used, basically name attribute is also used to uniquely identify an element. If not, then you can use class, ID or name or class. Usually this is the hierarchy. If using individually, if you're not able to identify the element uniquely, then you may have to club one or two attributes like this using the square brackets. Now, ID itself is sufficient in this case. I'm going to remove it now. Enter. Can you see here now, all of you? One matching node is what is being written over here. And then it says that, you see here, this got highlighted. Okay. Now, this is the way we have identified the XPath of this username field. Now, why are we discussing this XPath so detail? Is just because this is the first level. Once you are able to tell you need to tell your Selenium boss, use this XPath, that using this XPath internally Selenium will be able to identify this, and then you tell Selenium maybe to enter some text, or maybe click on this button or whatever. This is the action later on. So first thing is, there are two levels. One is identifying the web element, and then the next step is performing some action on it, right? So identifying the web element is done using the XPath. Okay, there are other ways also, but XPath is the most important one. We'll also discuss the other ones. That is why we are trying to learn the XPath in detail. So forward slash input. Now see, what I'll do is I'll just remove this. I'll just write input here and enter. See here, it says 12 matching nodes found. There are 12 tags which are having input as a tag. Some of them are hidden, some of them are seen, or whatever it is. But how do you uniquely identify it? You need to add the attributes, right? I would say at the rate ID is equal to username. The attribute value should go in a single quote, remember. Okay. Any questions here, anybody? All of you, any questions? Any questions, Sarah?
No further.
Clear. Others, any questions, Ramesh?
No question, Padil. It's
Great.
clear.
No
Satish and
questions. It's
Arvind?
clear.
Satish and Arvind?
No question. No.
Great. Satish?
No.
Simple. Great. Cool. Now, help me to identify the XPath of, let us say, this password field. Okay. Help me to identify the XPath of this password field now. I'm just going to spy on this like this. By default, okay, now if you see here, your fire path has given some lengthy XPath like this. So that's what I told. You should not rely on whatever fire path or fire path basically gives you, right? Delete this. Now let us try to see the code first. Okay. So what is the code of this? So HTML code, if you see, so what is there over here? It has again input, right? Class is there. So as I said, you use name, ID first. ID is not there. You should ideally use name. If you use class, what happens? Now let us use the class here and see what happens. See, 2 forward slashes to identify the element anywhere in the page, input tag name @class is equal to, inside the single quotes, I'll write this. If you see here, it is saying that 2 matching nodes. That means the class, which is a text field, is the same for username also, for password also. If you would have seen the username field, even for the username field also, let me just show it to you once again. Username field also, it is having a class called as text field, and even for the password field also, it is having a class called as text field, right? So you are not able to uniquely identify an element. Remember, in the entire page, you should be able to uniquely identify an element on which you want to perform some task, right? If there are more than one matching elements are found, then your Selenium will perform an action on the first element, whichever it finds from the top of the root. From the root, whichever it finds first, it will enter there here. Instead of entering the password here, it will enter it over here, right? So we are not able to identify uniquely using the class. Then what we need to do? Maybe try to use some other attribute. Is there a name attribute? Yes, there is a name attribute here called as PWD, right? So as I said, after ID, you should usually go for name. If they are not sufficient, then you may have to club more than one, attributes. So input, I'll just show you using true attributes only for this time. Later on, I'll not be showing that, right? So now I'll put the class, which ideally should be put after should be considered after the name, but as of now, I'm just putting it over here. Then if I say press, it's saying 2. See, sometimes your Firebug may not highlight both the fields. Just remember, just go and see over here. It says 2 matching nodes, right? Whereas it's only highlighting one because it's identifying the first one. Okay. So don't go by the highlightation, highlight over here. Just go by the matching nodes which is displaying over here. Ideally should consider both of that. It is open source, add-on. It has some small delimits, demerits here and there, but it's okay. So then say name I'll use. Name is PWD. Okay. So we have made some mistake here, surely, because it's saying that no matching node found. Yeah. So what is there for password? Password is, yeah, name is, for the password field, the name is, can you help me? What is the name here? Name is username, and for the password it is, okay, and for the password it is PWD, right? Let us just write that. So input @name is equal to PWD. See here, now it is able to identify, right? If it is not sufficient, then you might go back and add another attribute, right? Maybe say @class. Right? In this case, it's not even required, right? But in case if you want to add another attribute and its value, you need to add like this. So what is the general syntax? the general syntax for this is here 2 forward slash okay 2 forward slash and then tag name, right, square bracket at the rate attribute name is equal to in double quote single quotes attribute value, right. This is the syntax for identifying the XPath. Okay, so tag name and then you know the tag name and at the rate attribute name is equal to attribute value. If one attribute is not sufficient, then what do you need to do? You need to add another attribute here, and then you have to add the value of that as well. Okay, so this is very crucial. It looks simple now. As and when we go further, we will see maybe some bit difficult XPaths. Now help me out in identifying the XPath for, let us say, this particular image over here. Image. Can you see here? As I said, for image you have a width and height, right? And then you have SRC. As I said, so forward slash means in the same directory, right? This is what is the location. This is what is basically the name of the file, right? So now, how do I identify that? Help me out now. So all of you be with me. So what I do now here is I'll just put 2 forward slash. I'll say img at the rate src is equal to this src. Can you see here all of you? It is able to highlight this particular element, right? So that means we are able to locate this image using this particular XPath. Okay. Remember one thing, try to avoid using the attributes which are mostly responsible for the styling, meaning the width, height, color, font size, these things. Try to avoid using them. Ideally use what? Ideally you should be using what? I'll tell you ID, name, class, and for links you should use href and then src. Maybe, yeah, so maybe sometimes value also you use, right? Mostly these are the attributes that you'll be using. May not be other than this. If really required, you can go for other ones, but mostly this is what, these are the ones that you should usually consider for identifying the XPath. The other ones are usually used for the styles. Okay. Now, let us go back and try to identify something else, right? So all these things are looking a bit simple now. Now, let us go and try to identify, let us say, this particular link over here, forget password, right? If you see here, this also has an ID, right? So how do I identify that? Copy this ID over here like this. Very simple now. A at the rate ID is equal to, let us say, this ID. That's it, right? You're able to uniquely identify that, right? Now, imagine ID is not there for this. Just imagine ID is not there for this, right? What are the other attributes? On click. Now see, on click is again something, if you see here, it's looking like an event. On clicking this, what should happen is what it's telling us. So avoid using such attributes. On click, font, then height, width, border, these kind of things, which are mainly responsible for either some JavaScript execution or maybe for some styling, right? Avoid using that. If you see here, and what next you can use? Mostly for the links, right? We can also think of using the text, right? Isn't it? So you can think of using the text. Now, how do you identify an element, HTML element, using its text, right? So what are the usual HTML elements which will have text? Like links will have text, isn't it? So what are the elements which will have text? Tell me. Links, this is basically a tag. Span, as we have seen, it is a container of text, right? And your table data, whatever goes inside the table, So whatever we have seen here, right? TD. So this is Jill. If you want to identify, basically a first row, first column, this is, basically you might have to go by this text, right? So what are the elements which will usually have the text is one is the links, other one is a span, other one is, let us say, your TD, right? Mostly these are the ones which will have the text. Okay. So now in case of link, this is a link now. How do I identify the XPath of this link using its text? Very, very, very important. Just focus here. How do I use that is, now see here, you can see here again now it is failing to load. Sometimes it fails to load. You can just refresh it. Now what is the text here? Copy this text. It's copying it, right? So now what I'll do is I'll just put 2/A, enter. If you see there are 7 links, right? So let us not go by them because we want to uniquely identify it. How do you identify an HTML element using its text? See here, text text is what you need to write, and then a parenthesis over here, empty parenthesis. That means text is a function in XPath. Text is not an attribute. Very important. Whenever you use a text, what you need to do is you need to write like this. Okay, text is not an attribute, it is a function in XPath, remember. All right, so now what you're trying to do here is you want to find an element whose text is equal to, what is a text? Whatever text that you copied, you put it over here, right? Close the single bracket, close single quotes, and then close the flower bracket, this square bracket. Enter. Can you see here? A text parenthesis equals to this particular text, the text of the link, right? Is it clear, all of you, how do we use the text to find a particular element? Usually link, spans, or TDs is what, where text comes into picture. Yeah. Any questions here, anybody? Any questions in using the text? Satish, any questions?
No questions, Patil.
You're clear? Yeah. Sarah, Ramesh, and Arvind?
Yeah, I'm good, Patil.
Great, great. Thanks, Arvind. And Sarah, are you clear?
Patil, I mean, how do we know that there is A in the codes?
Yeah, you have to spy it, right? Use this firebug. Click on this. Let us say use this firebug. Click on this. Now you know that, okay, this is a tag for this.
Okay, then when we can even know this also, right? From there forward your password.
I didn't get you. Come again.
Then when we know, I mean, when we can see A, we can also see that forward your password there itself, right?
Forget password text. Yeah, right. See, so what are we trying to do here is we are trying to write the XPath expression to uniquely identify this link, right? So so that is what is XPath. Now once you get the XPath, so what we did here, we wrote something like this A. If I write A here, there are 7 links which are having A as a tag. That is when we went ahead and wanted to identify using its text, right? Write text like this and then put the text inside the single quotes like this, right? And close the square bracket. So this has become now the XPath for this particular link. Now I'll use Selenium. I tell boss, click on a link which is having XPath as this. Is what we're going to do now, right? So why we are using text here? We want to identify an element using its text. You could have also done it using ID, but just in case, imagine ID is not there, then how do you identify a link or a table data or any particular other HTML element using its text? By using the text function like this. So the text function in this case is not taking any parameter, you just have to say equals to whatever is the text using that you want to identify. Okay, is that clear, Sarah, now?
Yeah, Patil, it's clear.
Great,
Thank you.
great. Okay. So this is the way we use the text, right? Now, what we'll do is, we have seen this now. Let us try to go back and imagine there is a text here. Say in this case, it is say forget your password. Sometimes what happens is, imagine you enter username and password, click on login button. It tells welcome, let us say admin, right? And then second time, you log in using a different user, say some other user logs in. Say I log in as party, let us say. It tells welcome party. So welcome text is there, but the rest of the text is changing. Some portion of the text is constant, some portion of the text is dynamic, right? This is very important. Again, whatever I'm telling now, they're all very important. So just try to remember that. So first one, what we have seen is just 2 /, name of the tag, @ attribute name is equal to in the single quotes attribute value, right? If one attribute is not sufficient, go with 2 attributes. And then we spoke about the text just now. And in case if the text is dynamically changing, and wherein some portion of the text is constant and rest of the portion of the text is not constant, then only text is not going to be sufficient. Okay, only text is not going to be sufficient. Now what do we use in that case? We go for something like this. Just here, a, okay, and then we use here contains. Contains is a keyword. Once again, it's basically a function. Contains any function. Remember, it takes a parameter in parenthesis like this, right? So text is also a function which doesn't take anything. Now contains parenthesis text. If your text is not a constant text, if it is changing, if you want to just represent it by using some constant portion, imagine forget here, right? Rest of the word is changing, only forget is constant, right? So what I'll say here is a contains, what it contains, text. You will not say equals to, here is a comma. First parameter is text, second parameter is whatever is the text that you want to use it to identify, right? Close the parenthesis, close the square bracket. Make a note of this. Contains is a function. Once again, what using contains takes 2 parameters. Remember, one is using what you want to check. You want to check using text, right? And what is the text? Text, basically is the forget. So basically, this forgot is the text. Using that, you want to identify. You are trying to find a link which contains a text by name forgot. Now let me say enter. Can you see here? Right? So using the contains keyword also, you should be able to identify any HTML element, right? So contains is mostly used with reference to the text. Is it clear to all of you? So now let me tell you the same forget password option link, right? I can write the Xpath like this. This is one way. Let me write it like this. Maybe somewhere over here I'll put it. This is one Xpath. And then what else I can do? I can also write, as we discussed last time, a, right, square bracket text. Imagine if the text is constant, I can write like this. What are the ways using which I can write? This is one thing. In this case, it also has an ID, right? Imagine if ID is there, you could have even used that as well. How do I write Xpath over here? A @ID equals to, so this ID, right? What else? So in case if it is having any href, usually links will have href. You can write the href attribute. Maybe for example, here I'll show you with respect to this. it has href. If you see here, href is equal to this one, right? So how do you write the href as an attribute? It's just like other attributes. Okay. So for example, if you want to identify this link using it href, how do you do that? Is say /a @href is equal to this href. See here, right? So there are multiple ways in which you can write the XPath expression for a particular HTML element, right? So which one you to use? Ideally use the ID one if it is there, or use the name one, or use the class one if you are able to uniquely identify it. Else, especially in the case of links or maybe table data, you can go with the text as well. So text will be helpful for you in case, if you have, let us say, multiple links and excuse me, so you want to click on let us say 3-4 links, right? So what you can do is maybe you can just pass the text, and whichever text you pass, using that you should be able to dynamically click on multiple links, right? So you can go for the text also, but ideally you should choose the ID, else name, else class, or maybe text. In the case of links, you can usually go for ID if it is there, or href, or even text, right? It all depends. Okay, so it all depends. If ID is there, go for it. If href is there, go for it. If not, maybe you want to dynamically click on the link based on the text, right? Because let us say the ID and href are not there, then you can go for the text as well, either text or contains text. Okay, any questions here, anybody? Any questions? Sarah, Ramesh, and Satish, any questions? Seems Arvind has just left. He will be joining back. Any questions, all of you?
I'm good.
No
Patil.
questions, Patil.
Great, great. Ramesh?
Yeah, I'm good, Patel.
All right, cool. Now let us move one step further. Let us move one step further. It might happen that sometimes the ID also might be dynamically changing. See, usually because of the nowadays, we have the modern, basically the client-side scripting, and we have a lot of new things coming in, like JavaScript, jQuery, a lot many things coming into picture. So it might happen that even the attributes also might be sometimes dynamically generated, right? Usually, again here, what happens? Some portion will be constant, and some portion will be dynamically changing, right? So if you want to identify an element using its attribute value, but the attribute value is changing, it's dynamic, it's not constant, then how do you do that? Very, very crucial. Just focus here. A here contains, so contains, initially I was using text, but now I'll use ID attribute. Say @ is what you need to use, @ID, comma, maybe a portion of it, right? So what else? So here is a recovery portion of the ID, which will be kind of constant, something like this. Close this, close this. All right, say enter. Are you able to see this one matching node found? So if you want to identify an element using its text, which is dynamically changing, then you use what? A contains text, comma, then the portion of the text. If you want to identify any element using its attribute value, which is dynamically changing, then you have to use A contains @ID or name or class, whatever it is, and then the text in the single quotes. This is the way you should be using it. Okay. Any questions now in text? I think it's simple now. Anyways, now let us move further. So you can use the contains not only with respect to the text, you can use with respect to any of the attributes also. Any of the attributes also. Right? Now a question comes, what if we are still not able to uniquely identify an element using its attribute values or text value? Imagine there's a scenario you're not able to identify. Then what do you need to do? Very important. Focus here. Imagine you're not able to identify this link using any of the attributes or even the text. Just imagine. In that case, what you need to do is just go back and see its immediate parent. Okay, just go back and see its immediate parent. Now, what is its immediate parent? TD is its immediate parent. And see whether its immediate parent has ID, name, or class, right? So if that has ID, name, or class, or even a text, right? Using that you can uniquely identify it. Then you can choose go for it. Now imagine this A is not having any of the attributes, right? Now how do you go to identify it using its parent reference? This is very crucial. See here, what do? Imagine I go for this. I would put 2/TD, and now TD has got a ID here, right? TD has got ID. So what I'll do here, I would say TD of this ID. I'll copy this at the rate ID is equal to this ID, right? So now I'm able to uniquely identify my TD, the entire table data. That means what they have done is they have put it under this table. Under this table data, there is a link, right? Table data itself is having a link. Under table data, you have a link, right? So now, how do you come from a parent to a child? So for that, you use one single forward slash. One single forward slash is used basically to navigate between parent and child. Okay, so if you see here, how do I do that is, so I have used the forward slash, and then I would say, what is the tag here? My tag is A. That means under this TD, under this parent, there is a tag is what I'm trying to tell, and then say enter. Imagine if you are uniquely able to identify it, then it's fine. Or else you may want to add again attributes over here. You can go ahead and add attributes, maybe something like this. Or maybe you can add text or whatnot, right? So, excuse me. So if you are not able to uniquely identify an HTML element using any of its attributes or the text, then what you do, you try to search for its immediate parent, try to identify its parent using ID, name, class, or a text. If not, go to its parent. If not, go to its parent. Keep going to its parent till the time you find a unique parent which has ID, class, or name. Okay, then keep coming downwards like this, right? So that means inside a TD which is having this ID, there is a tag. Try to allocate. That is what you're trying to tell, right? Any questions here? Anybody? Any questions? Questions? Ramesh, Sarah, and Satish. Sarah says he's good.
No, but
Great. Ramesh, are you good?
yeah, I'm good.
Great. Now, so forward slash is used to navigate. It just acts as a separator, path separator, right? Remember. So in your location, how do you write? So if you, in your Windows you write C, yeah. So you use a backward slash, right? C and learn social here like this. Then instead of that over here, what do you use? Use a forward slash, like the way you use in a Linux, right? So now let me go back and try to give you some more examples. Say this image. Imagine this image is not having this src tag. Imagine, just imagine, right? Now where is this image? If you see here, it's under a div. This div is not having any of the attributes. Go to its parent, TD. So this is having an ID and name, right? Let us need to go for this. But imagine, just imagine for now, even this TD also is not having any of the attributes, right? Now, see TD, which is its parent. Don't think that this is its parent. No, this is, if you see here, TR is a parent. There is one child. There's another child here. See here, both of them are the children of same parent, right? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, multiple TDs are there under one table row, right? So you need to go to its parent. Now this TR also is not having anything. Go to its parent T body, which is also not having anything. The table is something, if you see here, as I said, it is having cell, cell spacing, cell padding, something like this, which is again, as I said, mostly used for styling. You should not be using that. Now, which one you should be using? You should be using the parent div. Now, this div has an ID, right? So let us try to come from this div and try to come below till, let us say somewhere over here to the image, right? Thinking that it is not having any of the attributes, right? So how do I do that is, which is the parent? Div is the parent now. ID is this one. Let me copy this. Div of @ID equals to this ID. Okay, so now we should be able to identify this div, and then below that I will write what? Table. Enter. So one matching node found. I'm able to identify this table. If you are not able to uniquely identify it, imagine if there are two tables, then you may have to add attributes, right? As of now, there's only one table, it's fine. As I said, below the table, mostly you will have the T body. So let us write T body. Enter. We have come here. Below this T body, there is a TR, right? There's only one TR, right? So let me just write, say TR. Now below this TR, let us say there is first column, second column. Second column is what you are interested, right? Because if you see a second column is this column, here you have this image, right? So you need to go to the second column. You have a ID here, TD of ID is equal to this, you can put that. Imagine if the ID is not there, just imagine, right? In that case, if you want to go to the second child, how do you go here? Is you need to say TD of 2. Very, very important. One more thing that we are learning here. The square bracket, and then if you mention the index or the number, that means you're telling it to go to the second table data, right? TD of 2 means it's a second table data. TD of 2 means it's a second table data. TR of 1 means let us say first row. In this case, it's just the one row, and that's why I'm not writing TR of 1. I'm writing TR, and then TD of 2 means second table data. Now see, I'll say enter. Right? It has come to the second one. Can you see here? If I write TD of let us say 3, it should go to the third one. Right? I've not written anything. If I write 3 here, oops, sorry, the nums lock is off. It has gone to the third one. Right? So this is the way, if you want to reach to a particular child of a parent node, this is the way you do it. Okay. Now we are interested in the second table data, right? Inside that there is a div. Inside, then see there's a div here. Inside the div there is an image tag, right? Now what I'll do here is I say that there is a div here, there's a div here as well. Right? That means there are two divs. Now where is my image? My image is under the first div, right? What I should be doing now here, I would write say div of 1. Inside that I should go for image tag. Now below this there is only one image. I can directly write like this because there is only one image. If that is there are multiple images, maybe I would have gone for T image of 1, image of 2, or maybe I would have added the attributes. See, remember, you should only go for it in case if you have multiple children and there is no unique attribute. Then only you can go with this indexing. Otherwise, you mostly should be preferred to use the attribute values rather than using the numbers. Why this is not advised? Because in case if somebody adds another row, maybe your row will come down, right? Sometimes it might break. Xpath might not be able to identify what you wanted to identify. But you can go for it in case if you don't have any of the unique attribute values. Okay. Is this clear? Any questions here? Anybody? Oh, sorry. Any questions here? Any questions here? Ramesh, any questions?
It's clear, Patil.
Great. Sarah, any
No,
questions?
Patil, I'm good.
Great. Sarah, any questions? Cool. Very cool. So we have seen this as well. This is again very, very crucial. Very, very, very crucial. Now let me tell you. See, backwards 2 forward slashes means anywhere in the document. Remember, if you want to come from a root, that is when you use 1 forward slash. Okay, I'll be talking about that. Now see here, anywhere in the document there's a div which is having ID as this, right? Now below that there's a table, below that there's a T body, below that there's a TR, below that there's a TDF2. Now what I can do here is I can also do something like this. From here I can say below this TDF2 which is over here, anywhere below this there is an image tag. Anywhere below this there is an image tag. If you see here, there are below this TD there are 2 images. Okay, so below this TD there are 2 images. Now what I'm trying to tell you here is, so imagine this 2 forward slashes when you put in the beginning of the XPath expression, that tells that to identify the element from which you want to begin the XPath, right? But once you reach somewhere over here, if you use 2 forward slashes over here in the middle, that tells anywhere below this. Now below this TD, anywhere below this, I want to identify, let us say, an IMG tag, right? So this is anywhere in the HTML document. This /2 forward slash means anywhere with reference to this XPath, this element, right? So now if you see here, you are able to identify 2 images over here. Yeah. So this, imagine if there is only one image, then you'll be still able to identify, right? So yeah, sorry. So now, so once you write like this, then you will not be able to write, one here. I was just trying to see that. You cannot say, boss, find me the first one. You'll not be able to use it like this, right? Anywhere below this, there's image tag, but there are 2 images now. Maybe you should now use some attribute values here, right? Maybe just like that, give it now. Try to give this one for now. Just imagine, I'm just telling the various possibilities, which you can use. Say at src. Here, this is what you are able to achieve, right? So below this div, there is a table. Now what you can do is, even you can remove this. Let us try whether it works or not. Below this, anywhere in this, right, there is an image by name something like this. See, still you're able to identify it. Okay, so you need to write your XPath expression in such a way that don't, I mean, try to get confused over here. There are multiple ways. I would encourage you not to use this 2 forward slashes in the middle of the XPath expression. You should be just knowing this, right? Try to go from the parent, child, child, child like this. Okay. If it is becoming, see why, how this is helpful is, even if somebody is adding something in the middle, still it will work because you are telling that this is a parent, below this, anywhere this is a child, right? So this should still work. But in the beginning, I would encourage you to write parent, then forward slash child, 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 go like that, right? So maybe later stages you can use this, 2 forward slashes in the later stages. But in the beginning, please navigate from parent to child, parent to child, parent to child using the single forward slash. Okay. Once again, 2 forward slashes in the beginning of the HTML, in the beginning of the XPath denotes that anywhere in the HTML document, right? And then 2 forward slashes in the middle of the XPath tells that with respect to this particular element, with respect to this element, below this, anywhere below this element is what is the mean. Okay. Is that clear, all of you? See, I'm asking this question again and again and again. I know that, but this is really crucial. I'm telling you, this is a backbone altogether. Yeah. Any questions now? Any questions, Sarah, Ramesh, and Satish?
No, Patil, I'm good.
Great. Ramesh, now, Ramesh, are you fine? Yeah. Ramesh, are you there? Okay, seems he's not able to hear. I'm not sure. So Ramesh, are you there, Ramesh? Okay, no issues. So now let me just ask you a small question. Yeah, I want you to write the XPath expression for basically to identify the element which is in a table, HTML table, in the third row and the second column. Ramesh, are you there? Yeah, Ramesh. Ramesh, are you there?
Hi, Patel.
All right. Are you there, Ramesh? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Just a couple of minutes.
Great, great. No, no problem,
Yeah,
no
I can
problem.
hear you. I just
Yeah,
dealing with my son.
sure. Yeah. Got it. Are you comfortable now?
I'll be back in a minute.
Sure. Not a problem, not a problem. So meanwhile, Sarah and Satish, even Ramesh, if you can hear me. So now imagine there is a table. Okay. So there is a table. Let me try to put that over here. There's a table. Right? This table has, let us say, three rows, sorry, and then it has, let us say, three columns, right? And I have a text here by name, let us say Java, right? I have a text here by name, let us say Java, yeah? And this table has got an ID. In the HTML page, if you see, the ID of the table is, let us say, XXX. Ramesh, are you back, Ramesh?
Yeah, I'm back, Patel.
Oh, great. So what I want from all of you is there is a table which has a ID XXX, right? And it has three rows and three columns. Okay. And in the second row and say second column, imagine just to make it maybe a bit more, uh, complex. I'll add another, column over here. So it has four columns and three rows. So there is, in the second row, second column, the text of that cell is say Java, right? Now, I want all of you to write the XPath expression. Maybe you can type in. The table has got ID XXX, right? So you should basically ultimately navigate till this one, second row, second column, which has got a text called as Java. Okay. How do you write the XPath expression? Just give a try. Just give a try. In case if you have any
Patil,
questions.
just one, can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah. There's a table which has got ID as XXX, right? And then it has, let us say, multiple rows, multiple columns, no issues. In the second row, second column, there is a cell which is having a text Java. Okay. So you should identify the XPath to locate this one, this portion basically, second row, second column. So Satish, you tried writing something, but if you just say what is that you wrote, maybe you can just try now. All of you got the question now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ramesh, did you get the question?
Yeah.
Great. Can you just try now, all of you? Yeah, you can maybe type in Satish said TD. So the ID is not for the TD. Basically, the ID is for the entire table, Satish. The table has got the ID, not the table data. Did you get it, Satish?
Yes, Patel.
Yeah. Try now, all of you. Just try, Sarah. Give a try. Now, as I said, table has got ID, right? What is the main root element here? Table. So come from table. Below the table, what you usually have? You have T body, right? You need to remember that. Below the table, you have T body. Table at the rate ID equals to xxx trf2 tdf2. Ramesh, you're almost there. Maybe some syntax mistake. It should be at the rate ID equals to. You've written ID at the rate. Okay. Below the table, usually you will have T body. Right. Remember, whenever you write table, you should ideally write T body below that. Mostly tables will have T body. Mostly. Sometimes not, but mostly they will have. Right. So, Satish, can you give a try? Sarah, now give a try now. I've almost given you the clue. Ramesh, you're almost there. You're perfect. You're almost there. Just give a try now, Ramesh. One more time. Proper Xpath. Satish, you want to give a try? Satish, table at the right XXT body. TF2. Perfect. Satish, you're perfect. I mean, this should work. Now, I also want you to make use of the text Java also, right? Because there is another text which also has say advanced Java, right? So basically, you need to identify second or second column using the text as well. In that case, how do you write, Satish? Just append something to it. Yeah. Ramesh said table of at ID this one T body TF. Perfect. Perfect. Sarah. Yes, Sarah. Satish says TD contains a text is equal to text contains a text comma Java. Yeah. So this Java, Satish, you need to put it in the single quotes because this is a text, right? It should go in the single quotes. Did you get it, Satish? The syntax. So basically, text comma Java should go in Java should go in a single text, a single quotes. Yeah. Sarah says,
Thank you.
yeah. T body TRF2 TDF2. Right, you're almost correct, Sarah. You're almost correct. But the thing is, TDF2, then see, basically that itself, one more attribute you're trying to add, right? So once you write TDF2, then you're not supposed to put one more forward slash there. It will basically the parent-child relationship. So whenever you put a forward slash, right, basically here to here, that means it is basically it is taking you from a parent to child, right? So you're not going from parent to child. In the same cell, in the same element, you're trying to add one more, attribute. In this case, not the attribute, it's a text. You say TDF2 contains a text the way they have written here. If you see here, TDF2 and then TD of 2 or TD of 2 then contains. Okay, so good. So when you are basically using the contains text, TD of 2 may not be required, right? So TD contains a text Java looks perfect, right? TD of 2 is also perfect. TD contains text comma Java is also perfect. TD of text is equal to Java is also perfect. So whenever you use the text, right? So maybe let me write like this. Say table at ID is equal to, let us say, xxx, right? As I said, table will usually have T body, right? And in the T body, you want to go to the second row. How do you go here? TRF2. And then you want to go to second column, you can go like this, right? So if you want to add the text also, then what do? You say add here, then say text is equal to, let us say, Java, right? In case,
Patil, are you typing something?
uh, yes, wait. Yeah, I think now we're able to see. I paused my screen. Now are you able to see, Sarah?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it was paused. Yeah, thanks for telling me that. So you can use the text is equal to Java like this, or GD. See, why do you want to add second column contains that? You just say any table data which contains text is equal to Java like this, as rightly written by Satish. Right? Any TD which contains under the second row there are multiple columns, but I want to go to a column which contains Java as a text. But imagine if there are more than one column which is having Java as the text, then you may want to write something like this. TDF2, and then you want to write, let us say contains. If you know that there is a fixed text, then you can say text is equal to. There are only two things. One is text equals to. If you know the text, just say text equals to. If you know that the text is not this much, it is a big text, then you can say contains text. Okay. So in the second column, which contains text. When you say second column, even if you don't write this, also is fine, right? So mostly when do you use it? You don't even write the column number here. You say below the second row, I want to go to a table data, which is having a text called as Java. This is how you usually write. And then you usually write the text here. With that, you should be able to uniquely identify it, because table data will usually have some unique text. Okay, so you can write TD of2 and then text, or TD of text contains Java, or text equal to Java. Anything is fine. So all of you are clear now, Sarah, Ramesh, and Satish.
I'm clear, Patil.
Great,
Yes, Patil.
great, Sarah. So
Yeah.
great. So when I usually take the interviews for around 3 years or 4 years experience guys, so this is the question that I ask, right? And then immediately I'll give this whatever I've given you just now, and then I'll tell boss, the second row has one ID called as YYY, right? Now immediately your basically the thinking, your mindset should immediately go back. You are saying that this is TR, which is second row now. You're telling that this has an ID. Then if the TR itself is having ID, that means TR is a parent of this TD, right? Then what do you need to do here? TR at the rate ID equals. Now see, what is the use of the table now? Not required, because as we know that ID is always unique, right? Table and T-body is not even required now. I can directly write TR, there is a row which is having at ID is equal to YYY, right? So there is a row which is having at ID is equal to say YYY, right? And then you have, let us say, TD below that. Because the immediate parent itself is having ID, then what is the need of immediate parent of this TD is TR, right? Now when this TR itself is having ID, then what is the need of going to its parent? Not required. So you can just start from here itself. Okay. I'll ask this question. Then I'll say, boss, imagine the table row, second row also have an ID. It has an ID. Then he should immediately tell, then I'll start from here. If it still tells that I'm starting from here, that means he doesn't know Xpath well. Then I'll tell the second column itself is having ID. Maybe then you can immediately tell that I'll start from here itself, because it has ID, right? So this is the way you should be able to uniquely identify the elements. Okay. Uh, so this is what we have discussed. So just remember this 2 forward slash in the beginning is to tell anywhere in the document, and if you use the 2 forward slash anywhere in the middle means anywhere with respect to the left hand side element, right? And 1 forward slash is used to separate the parent and child. Okay, and so sometimes if you want to come from the root, imagine if this is the case, you don't know, you don't have anything, you want to come from the root. So where is the root? Root is over here. HTML is always the root of the page. Remember, if you want to come from the root, you will start from a forward slash. That means from the HTML. That means from the root. If you see here, if I write here, there is only one HTML, right? From this HTML, below that there is a head, right? How do I write? Say head. Below that, so below the head there is what, let us say there is a title, right? If you want to go something like this, just as an example, there's only one title. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, see, title also has a text, right? You can go title text is equal to this one, or title contains text is equal to this one. Yeah, because this is a text, anything which comes between this angular brackets is a text. Okay, so where do you find it? Span, td, or link, mostly, right? So this is what is called as absolute path. If you are coming from the root and coming like this, parent child parent child parent child, then it will become very lengthy, and this is what is called as absolute XPath. Whatever we are trying to write, that's a relative XPath. We are trying to tell that anywhere in the document, which is nothing but the relative. If I write like this, that tells that anywhere in the document there is a HTML element called as title, right? Anywhere in the document, there's a title. What you can do other than that, HTML head title also you can write. Okay, so usually writing the absolute XPath is not at all encouraged. It is only okay if you're a beginner, or I mean, maybe a very fresher can just think of doing like that. Some of these tools, usually the Firepath and all, whenever you use, right, sometimes they give absolute XPath. Maybe if you write like this, sometimes they might give absolute XPath. Let me just refresh this. See, sometimes it gives relative, but sometimes it gives absolute. Okay, so you need to be very kind of good in writing your own XPath. Now see, I have not talked to you one more important keyword here, star. Now what does this star means? So don't at all think of using this dot, not required. When I say star, any, star means any, right? So that means it could be any tag which can input or image or SR, I mean, A or whatever it is, that should have an ID as this. This is what you're trying to tell. Star means any. Okay. I would encourage you not to use this, because you should really write what is the tag name and then the attribute name and attribute value instead of writing star. Star is anyway, it's a kind of wild card, right? That means anything. Yeah, but ideally when you are writing, you should write the tag name and then followed by a square bracket at the rate attribute name is equal to attribute value in single quotes. You should not write the star. Okay, avoid using star and avoid using 2 forward slash in the middle unless it is really required. If an XPath is really stretching too big, then we can use 2 forward slash in the middle. Otherwise, write the continue XPath. When I say continue, don't begin from the HTML. Don't do that also. It will become absolute path. Don't use absolute path. Don't use relative path with the forward slashes and star unless it is really required. Okay. Is that clear, all of you? Any questions here, anybody? Any questions? Sarah, Ramesh, and Satish.
No questions.
No, I'm good,
Great,
Patel.
great, great. Any questions, Sarah?
No, Patil, I'm good.
Great. Now, let me tell you one small real-time example, then we'll end the session, right? Maybe another 2-3 minutes. Now, let us take an example, maybe Flipkart.com or Amazon.com, whatever it is. I have taken Flipkart.com here. It can be anything. So why I have taken this is I feel that this is a good example. Now, under this Flipkart.com, I have this electronics, right? When I move my mouse on this, it is displaying me all these options, right? Now, I need to click on this electronics. Okay. So now what is the XPath for this? If you see here, the moment I go here, span, Span basically has electronics, right? So now let us use its text. Let us use its text, right? So I would say, help me out now, span text is equal to electronics. I could have used contains also, but I see that electronics. But if we see here, it tells two matching nodes found, right? So one electronics here, there could be one more electronics somewhere else in the middle, right? So we wanted to identify uniquely, then it's not helping us with the text. What do you do now? Go to its parent, right? So go to its parent now. This parent has A, which is A is a parent of this, right? A is a parent of this, which is having what? Now see, ID is not there, class is not there, and then you don't have the, somebody just joined. Did anybody just join? Okay. So so A is having a class. Let me try to go by its class. See whether I'm able to uniquely identify it or not, right? So text is not able to sufficiently, I'm not able to identify uniquely. So what I'll do here is I will say A at the rate class equal to this class, right? Then let us see we are able to identify it or not. So we are able to identify it, right? So this is the way we should go back to know its parent, child like that. Okay. So if this is not helpful, go to its parent. If not, then go to it. If not, go to it, right? Till the time you're able to uniquely identify it. All right. Now, finally, I want to tell this. Usually, I tell this everywhere. So this will really make the things very, very clear. So let us say electronics, then say mobile, and then maybe we'll go to some mobile. Uh, say Samsung. I clicked on Samsung, right? Now, okay, cool. I got what I wanted. So now, if you see here, just be with me. This is very crucial. We are ending the class maybe in another 5 minutes, not more than that. Just focus. So now, this Samsung has lot of mobiles, right? This is very crucial. Please focus. I want to identify the. Let us say I want to get the price. I want to look at this basically. I want to get what is the price of Samsung Galaxy J7 Gold 16 GB, right? Samsung Galaxy J7 Gold 16 GB mobiles price is what I want, right? That means I want to locate this price. See, if I directly go like this now, if you see here, it is giving me the price here like this. And I move my mouse here, if you would have seen here, when I click like this, it gives me the price like this. But I really don't know whether this price is for this mobile or not. That means I want to, in the Xpath itself, I want to write, boss, for this mobile, this is the price. Okay. But I really, in this case, I don't know if this price is for which mobile. Even if I write maybe something like this, even for the other one also, it almost looks like same, right? Because it tells div of 1, div of 2 like that. Here it could be div of 1, it could be div of 2, like div of 3 like that, right? But now I want to find the price of Samsung Galaxy J7 Gold 16 GB, right? How do I do that? Is that this is a text. Copy this text. Okay. So what do I do now is I'll copy this. Very, very important. Just focus here. Just focus here, please. The Samsung Galaxy J7 is what is the gold 16 GB. Let me write the entire thing. Okay. Let me copy that. What is this now? Tell me what is this? This is A, right? Let me just write that. A of text. So you can use contains or you can use text. Better to use contains. It's always safe to use contains because that might contain this text, or maybe there could be some spaces here and there, right? Whatever it is, it will consider. one matching node found. Luckily, we are able to find that, right? So where is this A? This is this A. Yeah. But now I want to find the price. Where is the price? Now see, when I move the mouse like this, it's getting highlighted here. Can you just see here? See the above one is getting highlighted, right? This is my A. But now price is over here. How do I come back? Now where is the price? Price is here, right? Now the problem is A is here under a div, and if you see I'm just collapsing it. Now A is under the first div, A is a child of the first div, whereas the price is maybe a child of maybe the third div, right? Both of them have the same parent. This is a parent for both of them. Under this div, there is A. A's parent is this parent is this, and the same parent is another child, which is another div, which has a price, right? So now you got the parent. You got this basically this mobile name, right? You should go back here, go back to its parent, then come back to this. How do you go back from a node to its parent? Now going back from a node to its parent is forward slash dot dot. Forward slash and dot dot will take you dot dot, two dots will take you. It's like just like your Linux system, two dots will take you to its parent, right? So dot dot will take me from A to this. Now see what I'll do. I'll say enter. See what has happened? I have come to the div. See, it's showing me this div now. Then now one more forward slash, one more double div, double dot will take me to its parent, which is now here. So now I have come here. Now see here, entire div is getting selected. Can you see here? Entire div. So now from this div, what I want to do is I want to come back to the first one, second one, third one. Here one, two, see, one, two, three. Yeah. So there's a div here. There's a div here. This div has a child. This div is not having any child, but there's a child of this one only. One, two, three. Third div. So now here what I'll do, I'll say div of 3. Where I've come here, I've come here. That means it is div of 4. 1, 2, 3, sorry, div of 4. Div of 4 will take me to the fourth div. See here, under this div, there's one more div. Focus here. And this, there's only one div under this. So if only one is there, you need not have to write div of 1. Or you need not have to write the attributes. Right? Because there's only one div. Yeah. There's one div here. Below that, there's one more div. Below that, there's one more div. Below that, there is UL. Right? Where is the, you see here. Below this div, there's a div. Below that, there's a div. Below this div, there is a span and which has basically rupees. You see here? Now we have come here. We have to come one div, one span. So what I can do now is I can say there is a span below this anywhere. I can write like this. Right? So this is where sometimes you can still use two forward slashes, or else you can write forward slash div, forward slash div, forward slash span. Span, and that span contains text. What is the text it contains? It contains text rs. This is what you should be using now. This is the complete Xpath expression to get the price of Galaxy Samsung Galaxy J7 Gold. Right? So from whole intention of telling this is from a child node, if you want to go to its parent, you will have to use dot dot. Now this is the price for, this is Xpath for getting the price of this mobile. Okay. Now using automation, you want to find what is the price of this mobile. So you can give this Xpath and then say using Selenium, you can say there is a method called as get a text. If you say get a text of this Xpath, it will give you the text. What is the price of it? Now see whatever you're able to see here, highlighted one, that is what will be given to you. Because that is the text of this particular span. Is it clear? Any questions here? Anybody? Any questions? All of you? Ramesh, is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear, Patel.
Yeah, Sarah? Sarah, is it clear?
Yeah, little confusion, but I'll go to the video again part. It's little confusion. I'll go to the video again.
Right. So basically, from a parent to child to parent, if you want to go, you have to go for two dots. That's what I wanted to tell. Ramesh, is that clear to you?
Yeah.
Right. Now, what I want you to do is get the get the uh, camera get the camera specification. Make a note, all of you, or else I'll anyway put it as an assignment. Right? I would say you can take that. Just write out. Get the camera specification. Get the camera specification XPath, or get the XPath for the camera specification. See, what I'm trying to tell you here is this mobile. For example, let us say which mobile is this? Samsung Galaxy S4, right? Deep black 16 GB. Now for this mobile, you need to identify the XPath for its camera, finding its camera. What is the camera of this mobile? So you need to what? We actually went by this mobile, we went to the price. Basically, what you need to do, come down and go to the camera, right? Write the XPath expression to locate the camera of Samsung Galaxy S4 black mist. Can you try that maybe? Samsung Galaxy S4 black mist's camera, you need to locate. You need to find the XPath for the camera of this mobile, Samsung Galaxy S4. Can you try that out on the flipkart.com maybe during this weekend? All of you? Any
Yeah.
mobile you can just try. Any
Yeah,
mobile you
Patil.
can try. Any mobile you can try, right? And then what I want you to do is, because we are basically heading towards the weekend, right? So I really want you to give some assignments. So now see here, once you log into your ActiveTime application, what I want from all of you is, because we will be automating these test cases, that is why you should know the XPath of all of them. Maybe write it in Excel file. So just try to find the XPath of these tasks. You should find the XPath of these tasks. Okay, task. Now what is the task? If you see here, it is an image. Below that image, there is an SRC. Basically, image is this image. Okay, so if you want to either click on this or you click on this, is same, right? So whether you want to click on this text or you want to go by this image, it's up to you. Find the XPath of this tasks menu, right? You should find the XPath of this, please. And then once you click on this, find the XPath as of now. Then click on, you should click on projects and customers. XPath of this, XPath of this, right? And then XPath for these two buttons. So ideally, whatever fields that are required for creating a customer, this one, create a customer, this button, and then you will enter some text here, and maybe you will select something from here, right? And then you click on this, right? So whatever is required for creating a new customer, yeah, as well as creating a new project, customer and project, whatever fields that are required, at least the mandatory fields, try to find the XPath for that. So the assignment for you is to find the XPath for various HTML elements which are required for creating a new customer as well as creating a project in the ActiveTime application. Just give a try. It should be very simple and it should really, really make you the XPath very, very clear. Okay. So please do that during this weekend. Okay, so write the XPath expression for all the elements that are required for creating a customer as well as creating a project in the ActiveTime application. So can I expect you to do this by Monday, all of you? Sarah, Ramesh, and Satish?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So can I expect Sarah from you, Ramesh?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So put in some effort so that it will make the things very clear. I'm telling you, today's session was the most important one. If you've understood this, I'll tell you mostly got more than 60% of Selenium. Rest all is very simple. You will just use just some methods, say click, send keys, type, this, that, and all. That's it. The very crucial part is XPath. Once you know that, rest all things becomes very, very simple. Okay. So please make a note of all this, whatever I've discussed, various ways. Text contains at the rate, ID, a name, class, whatever it is. How do you go from a child to parent, parent to child? What is the meaning of two forward slashes in the beginning? What is the meaning of two forward slashes in the middle? What is the meaning of a single forward slash? What is SRC? What is title? All these things should be really, really clear. Watch this video once again, and please, you know, try to find the Xpath for whatever we discussed. Maybe these components as well as the image, the camera specification of say Samsung Galaxy S4 mobile. Okay, just try all this, put in some sincere efforts. That is when you'll become really experts in Selenium. Yeah. So please do this. We'll be meeting back on Monday, same time, 9 o'clock Indian Standard Time. Uh, I was thinking of maybe having a session during this weekend, but not required. I feel so because so I really don't want you to trouble on the weekends. And not only that, I have another batch, on the weekends, from the Learn Social. So I will not be able to handle multiple batches. If really required, then maybe we'll see in the next weekend. All right. So your sessions are going to be really extended by at least 3-4 days, 3-4 days. So you should be prepared for that. Yeah. So because we have lost a couple of days here and there, and we were also a bit slow, but that's all fine. Maybe 2-3 days extra should not be a concern.
That's going to be on weekdays.
Uh, okay, sure. We will have it on the weekdays only. I really don't want on the weekends as well. So if it is going to be extended maybe for 3-4 days, it will be on the weekdays only. All right. It may not be on the weekends. Yeah. Unless it is really required, we'll not have it on the weekends. Yeah. Cool then. Just be prepared for this. Your sessions are not going to get over as per the schedule. Maybe 3-4 days here and there, but I feel that should be fine. Unless you are learning well, that should be fine. Yeah. Please work on this XPaths from Monday onwards. We're going to start with the Selenium. We'll discuss the architecture of Selenium, and then we'll start using the Selenium for automation. Okay. All right then. Till then, enjoy and please keep practicing. Okay. Any questions? Feel free to write a mail to me, or maybe we can discuss. Once we meet on Monday. Okay. Fine then, guys and Sarah.